Hey guys, what's going on? It's Docs, otherwise known as Jonah. Today I have a one-off video where it is unscripted. Oh, that's a word I haven't used in a while. My very long-term viewers will remember that word. I did a very short-lived kind of mini-series called Unscripted, where I just chatted for like X amount of minutes with no kind of like script. Basically, when I record commentaries, like I have an idea in my mind of what I want to say. I have an idea in my mind of how I want to present the video. And unscripted means basically I've just pressed a record button and I'm winging it, and I'm just gonna have a chat and yeah, we'll discuss a few things. So I don't know what the title of this video will be, by the way. Like literally, like so for me when I'm making my project, I use Final Cut Pro for my editing software, by the way. And when I'm making a project, it's like if I can't think of a title, it's like EAFC 24 career mode number 56. Amazing goal by amazing youngster or whatever. If I can't think of a title, do you know what I normally do? I put something like moron talks nonsense for 30 minutes. It's like I just it's always self-deprecating. I guess I'll get into why that is in a moment, but yeah, I don't know what this title will be. Maybe just like Doc says thank you or something. I don't know, but really that's kind of going to be like the core message of today's video. The gameplay you'll be seeing is me just trying to win the Euros with England. So it's the Euros game mode for EAFC 24. My first time playing it, obviously choosing England, being English myself, and I thought, don't think we've got much chance of winning it now after our poor start to the tournament. Granted, 4 points taken from 6 isn't disastrous, but let's just say the jury's already starting to make up their minds on Gareth Southgate and this start to the tournament. But it's just me trying to win the Euros with England, basically. But the commentary itself really is just me, again, wanting to say thank you to you guys for what's been a fantastic show of appreciation since I began making videos on EAFC 24. Heading into this year's EAFC, it's the first of technically a new franchise, if you will. But I've been continuing to do my career modes slightly different to how I normally present them. I mean, obviously for those that have been around for a while will know I used to be more of a post-com kind of guy. Just prefer it. Like, genuinely, just really, really preferred it. Preferred, listening to a podcast or some music or whatever whilst I'm playing the gameplay and then putting it together and then doing a commentary overlay on it. I just preferred it. What can I say? I just found it a lot more like calm for me. I'm very bad at multitasking. Like, I'm very bad at doing multiple things at the same time. So talking and playing at the same time, I can only do one. I can only really do one because the quality of one of those two things is going to suffer when I'm trying to do them at the same time. I'm sure there's some, psychology behind that, that you can't focus on both things 100% at the same time, hence why one has to deteriorate slightly in terms of quality. But this year, I felt as though people preferred me doing live audio over my gameplay, so I thought, alright, fair enough, I'll just do it for everything I do now, not just like one or two series, but for everything I do now. And it's been tough because, again, I'm not very good at that, or at least I don't think so, but I have gotten better, at least I do think so, and really the support has just been fantastic. I mean, all the projects I've done this year have been really well received from you guys. We just finished one yesterday. It's called the Premier League Career Mode with Fulham. Third time's the charm, got there in the end, third time's the charm. And it went down really well. I've done some other projects with FC Köln in the Bundesliga career mode. We did a realistic career mode with Bournemouth and Liverpool. That was really well received from you guys. I must admit, I got a lot of love on that one there, which I really, really appreciate. I always find it hard when I move teams because normally I'll stay with the same team nowadays, and it's just because I often get some comments, some people saying, oh, you spent this time with this team, why would you leave them now, and so on. It's sometimes it just feels the right thing to do naturally for the course of the save. But in that save when I left to Liverpool, yeah, of course, like obviously some people were like, oh, it would have been better if you carried the project on with Bournemouth. But I think a lot of people were just like kind of cool to see me do something a little bit different, move teams, try something new, and yeah, it was a good save. People enjoyed that one. Did the La Liga career mode of Almeria, that was fun. And before that, of course, the RTG with Swansea. And the main career mode I did this year, which was the longest save I'd ever done, which is crazy. Like, we've been doing YouTube for 13 years now. It's the longest save I'd ever done. And it went down really well. You know, people seem to really enjoy that, and especially the first few years with Luton, which are fantastic. Even though I was rubbish, it was still really fun for people, and that's something that I've really found in this year's FC, that I haven't actually been at my best. You know, let's be honest here. Some of my gameplay hasn't been great. Some of the saves I haven't won as much as I would have liked to have won. It's taken me longer to win in these saves than in others as well, which I think is probably a good thing, to be honest. But regardless of that being the case, people have still just enjoyed watching me play and trying to present the videos the way I can. And so for that, I just wanted to say thank you, because it really has been a fun EAFC for me to play, and I know I've got a record of saying this, and I'm going to continue to say it until EAFC 25 comes out. This has been one of my most enjoyable FC/FIFAs to play and present videos for on YouTube, and one of the reasons why is because, and again, I will say this as someone that's played every FIFA since '99, and yes, I am that old. For those that don't know, I'm 32 in November. It's the hardest one I've ever played. It is literally the hardest one I've ever played. It is so much more difficult this year, which again I think is a good thing. Ultimate should feel ultimate, and it definitely does. As you'll be seeing through this video, and you've seen throughout EAFC 24. But the support has been fantastic, and so I guess I wanted to start the first segment of this video by saying thank you. I really appreciate your love, your support. It has not gone unnoticed, and it has been incredibly humbling that, you know, I say this to people quite often, like, when I started YouTube, I was 18 years old. It was the summer of 2011. So I was turning 19 in November, and I still remember it to this day. Basically, back then, you know, I'd been out of school for a couple of years. I had like no idea what I was going to do. I'd like temp jobs. I you know, worked in a bar. I'd worked temp office job. Like, it's just nothing substantial. Like, there's no path. Like, there was no path for me in career, or for me, honest, in life. You know, I had no idea what the fuck I was going to do basically with my life. Had no money, and yeah, it was just I was just basically set up for a life of nothingness, if I was going to have a life at all. And at the time, my friend Craig, who you will know better as Nepenthez, said to me, you know, I just started doing YouTube, and at the time he just began. He had like, you know, 7,000 followers or whatever, long time ago now, and he said, bro, like, we used to play FIFA together, like, late at night. He'd, like, hop on after he finished his shift in the pub, and he'd be like, bro, do you want to jump on clubs, or be a pro, as we used to call it? It'd just be me and you, or perhaps we'll try and get someone involved. We used to play with a group of people, but sometimes, to be honest, more often than not, towards the end, it would just be me and him, and we'd play us two in an any, and he'd be like, bro, do you want to hop on clubs? And I'd be like, yeah, sure, man. And we'd jump on, we'd play for like 2 or 3 hours, and go to bed like 3 in the morning or whatever. We'd chat on MSN, Microsoft Messenger, back then, and you know, we'd just talk about certain things in life, as well as you know, concentrating on the gameplay too. And he was saying, bro, I just started like YouTube. Why don't you give it a go? Like, you're a really good FIFA player. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I'm not that good, and I've got no confidence. Like, you know, I don't know how to speak and stuff like that. And he was like, no, bro, like, seriously, like, you'll learn. You'll pick it up. And back then, I just made excuses for everything. Like, literally back then, I guess the reason why I'd done fuck all with my life, and the reason why I was gonna do fuck all with my life, is because I just made excuses all the bloody time. Like, literally, was my upbringing tough at times? Yeah, of course. But like, you know. Lots of people have relatively tough upbringings and childhood and challenges, but they don't just sit around and just use that as an excuse to do absolutely nothing. I took no accountability or responsibility for anything when I was that age, and I can look back on it now with embarrassment, but also acknowledgement at the growth that I'd made. Yeah, I took no accountability for anything. I just blamed all the things that happened to me as a reason as to why I shouldn't try and do anything. eventually Craig talked me around. My last excuse was he was very persistent with it, and he basically just said, my last excuse was I haven't got any money. I can't buy a Dazzle, as it was known back then, a Dazzle, and then a HD PVR. My excuse was I can't buy one because I have no money. I literally don't have a job right now, and I haven't got any money. So he said, all right, come work for me. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, come work in my pub. And so, but before, I'd done pub work before, but not behind a bar. When I was in school, we didn't get given pocket money when we were kids, me and my brother, because we just didn't have any money. My family were working class, come from quite a poor background. We didn't have any money, so there was no such thing as pocket money. If you want money, you got to go and earn it. You got to go wash cars for people, cut lawns, whatever. And when I was in school, I had a job because I wanted to buy a PS3, and we didn't have money to just buy a PS3. So if I wanted to buy a PS3, I had to buy it myself. How was I going to buy it myself with no money? Well, I needed a job outside of just, again, cutting the occasional lawn or washing the occasional car. So I got a job in one of the pubs in my town, basically just doing the legwork, picking barrels up from the cellar, bringing them up, cleaning the tables, whatever else, wiping down windows, so on and so forth. And so that was some work I'd done when I was in school to make enough money to buy a PS3. I still remember to this day buying the PS3 in Woolworths, there's a throwback, with the last £20, not in notes but in coins, including silvers and bronzes. And there was this feeling of real shame and embarrassment holding up the line at the counter in Woolworths buying that PS3. Looking back on it now, I actually have pride in that moment. At the time, I was embarrassed. People could just put, adults, I was a kid back then, but adults could just put a credit card down and buy it in one swipe. And there's me with all this money I'd accumulated from my little job in the pub, paying for a PS3 with 2p's, 1p's, 5p's, 10p's. The last £20 like that was embarrassing. I give a lot of credit to my dad though, because he had this bottle of this case of Glenfiddich bowl where all the pennies were stored in there, and I would be able to sort them out for him, and he'd give me notes. He'd take to the bank basically and get notes for me. So I give a lot of credit to my dad for that. Anyway, I'm way off track here. Sorry. Excuse me. So yeah, I'd done that work in a pub before, but never behind a bar. So this was my first time being behind a bar, and I only did 2 nights, I think it was. But Craig gave me enough money to buy a. Was it the Dazzle or the HD PVR? It was so long ago, honestly. I think I might have actually been the HD PVR. Actually, I did have a Dazzle, but I can't remember if this was the HD PVR I picked up first or the Dazzle. I know I got the Dazzle from someone else, but I think this was the HD PVR. I think I'd had a Dazzle at that point. Do you know what, I really can't remember. It was so long ago. But anyway, long story short, please do cut it a short, Doxy boy, because you're rambling about buying a PS3 from Woolworths now. Basically, I had enough money with the money that Craig gave me, with the salary for the job, but also the tips. I had enough money to buy HD PVR, and he was like, "Well, you're gonna buy HD PVR now?" And it was like, I'm not, I didn't just give you this opportunity for you to go and spend it on a new shirt and some jeans or whatever. It's like, no, you've got the money to buy HD PVR now. You buy the HD PVR. I was as good as my word. Now you be as good as yours. And I bought one. And the rest is history. I began my YouTube channel and I thought I'm going to do rubbish, and Craig really helped me in the first couple of years really get myself set up and established and getting my first few followers. Whenever I still remember when I hit 700 followers on YouTube, or subscribers even, and I was thinking all of these have come from Craig. Okay, maybe a few stragglers here and there have been picked up just by my gameplay or my audio or whatever, but practically all of these come from Craig. My foundation was built by Craig. It was because of him I was able to sort of get started on my journey, if you will. And 13 years later, I'm still so fortunate enough to be here. And in the earlier years of my YouTube channel, I discussed my mental health a little bit more openly than I have been recently. And the challenges I was going through and the things that I was finding tough. It was quite taboo back then. It's not, I always make the point as Foden here, by the way, scores my best goal throughout this entire game, but it was a wonderful strike. Back then it wasn't as taboo as the 90s, for example, but there was still a little bit of stigma attached to it. But when I first started discussing it, and I was starting to get like, comments from people saying like, thank you for being open, I was like, well, this is mainly for me. Like, do you know what I mean? This is mainly for me. Like, selfishly, I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this so I can, get it out there per se. And I think talking about things does help a lot. So it was mainly for me, but the ripple effect, it was helping other people as well. Be brave enough to share what they were going through. And to open up either, just with me, or, on YouTube or on Twitter or whatever, or in their personal lives. I was like, suddenly I don't feel so alone anymore. And again, the point I'm trying to get to is like, the past couple of years, the past few years, like, I've just been trying to be perfect with everything, and I've been trying to get away from how I had been feeling and the things that I've been going through. And I don't really know why I got to this point of being like, yeah, I can't share it anymore. Like, I don't really know why I kind of got to that point where I was like, yeah, I can't really share it like I used to. It's like, why? What's the barrier? And like for myself, like, when I had been sharing it recently, I'd almost felt kind of like embarrassed by sharing certain things that I've been going through, and then the other part of me was like, but why? Like, what's the stigma? What's the thing that's preventing you from being as open and as honest and vulnerable? And one of the favorite things that one of my therapists discussed with me was back when we first started, which was you can't be like open and honest without being open and honest. It just doesn't work. It's not possible. And I realized it's completely true. And I think, over the past few weeks, it's like, yeah, things had been getting really, really tough for me. Why am I not able to talk about it the way that I was? And so over the past few days, the past week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, during my gameplay, I've been talking about it. I've been struggling a little bit recently. Like, depression had really hit. And I think that it made me realize that the reason why I wasn't sharing it was because I was too scared of admitting I haven't overcome what I really wanted to overcome. So when I first started therapy, it was summer of 2021, and my therapist asked me during our consultation, she said, like, what do you want to get out of this, basically? Like, what do you want to come from this? And my answer was, I want to, like, get rid of my depression. Like, I've had it for, all of my adult life and during my teens as well. It first kind of started when I began puberty, so just preteen, and I remember thinking, like, I just want to get rid of it. Like, I'm sick of it. Like, I'm sick of this, because like my friends may have had a little experience with it, but not quite to the same kind of level, or so I think, based on what we've talked about, and we're quite open as friends. But I'm sick of it. Like, I'm so, like, it's just affecting my day-to-day life. For all this time, it's gotta come to an end. I'm tired of it. And one of the things she said to me, which is one of the reasons why I hired her, is the honest truth is you probably won't manage to eradicate it fully when you've had it for this long of a time. But we can learn to manage it. We can learn coping mechanisms to deal with it. We can get a much better control of it. And I remember when I heard that, like, part of me was thinking, like, she was going to say, but here's the secret, like, here's the thing, if you do this, like, 5-step plan, then it will go away forever. Do you know what I mean? I was waiting for that kind of, like, magic fix, and it never came. She just sat there silently after telling me that basically you might have depression for the rest of your life. And I was like, hang on a second, like, where's the answer? Like, there must be an answer to this, surely. Like, where's the part where you tell me, oh, but if you drink this drink every day and you eat this food, and it's gonna be fixed. It just never came. She just sat there and looked at me. I was like, shit, you're hired. Because it was like a moment where I realized to myself, like, getting rid of the black dog, getting rid of that depression, maybe for someone it's situational and it's been a temporary thing. It's something that can be overcame, but for a lot of people who have lived with it for such a long period of time, when we began the therapy, I was 28, and I haven't seen her for the past 10 months now, but I began when I was 28. So I'd had it for, again, over half my life. Like, over half my life I've been living with, like, bad depression, and there were days where it was alright, and there were days where it was worse. There were days where it was disastrous, and there were days where, do you know what, I didn't really feel it that much, but ultimately it's been a prevalent part of my life all this time. And I was embarrassed. Like I really, like recently I've been really, really embarrassed by it. And I just felt like by now I would have been able to get it cured. But I kind of reminded myself of what my therapist told me in that consultation, which is you probably won't. So I think being more honest and open about it, instead of me just trying to come across as perfect, I think having this conversation as I'm having right now, I hope is helpful in some way. Selfishly for me, to get it out there, to put it into words, to discuss it, but also for those that listen and might experience the same thing. Like I said, over the years I've had so many people, reach out to me on Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and YouTube, back in the day when you could YouTube message as well, saying I'd help them in some way. And I guess I kind of just wanted to share these kind of feelings with you today, as if to say, look, I can't say I understand, because I think anyone that goes through depressions can't stand it when someone says I understand, because it's like, well, we're going through totally different things. So I'm not going to kid you and say, oh, I understand what you're going through, bro. It's like, I probably don't. Like you might be impacted more significantly now because of, I don't know, like perhaps your partner's, you found out your partner had an affair. It's like, I've never experienced that, so I can't say, oh, I understand. It's like, well, that's never happened to me. Do you know what I mean? So I can't comprehend exactly, understand exactly, but I can kind of relate in some way to the struggle, if not the cause, if that makes sense. I can relate to the struggle you might be going through, but not the cause. And I think that, like, so a good example of this is like, so 2 months ago I went to Edinburgh. And I went to Edinburgh for a weekend, and if you follow me on the socials, you would have seen me there. I went to watch Hearts game at Tynecastle. Really cool experience. Really enjoyed it. I walked up half a seat. Did quite a few of the touristy things, and you would have seen on the social, me at the top of half a seat, with a little selfie, like smiling. You would have seen me at the Hearts game, like pre-game, taking a picture of the stadium. You would have seen that, and you would just thought, oh yeah, Dogs sound a good time up there. What you wouldn't have seen is the Sunday afternoon, when I came back down from walking half a seat, it had been boiling. It had been bubbling under the surface. Basically, on the Friday I got there, went for a walk, came back. For like half an hour, I had this like really kind of like heart palpitation kind of feeling of like, shit, so what's happening? And and eventually I managed to just go to the real Merry King's Close, the dungeon tour I did. And then I went to bed, and I slept until like 10:30 on Saturday morning. Like, I needed a long sleep, so I was so burnt out. Went to the Hearts game, came back, and again I had this feeling of like, I don't feel right. What's wrong with me? Like, I don't feel right now. And then the Sunday, like, it was all bubbling under the surface. And I kind of felt like something was going to happen. I came back down from half a seat, and all the stuff you would have seen from me on social media there, all the stuff you would have seen on Snapchat, all the stuff on Instagram, what you would have seen was me having a great time and enjoying myself in Edinburgh. And on the Sunday afternoon, I got back to my Premier Inn, and I fucking burst into tears after I shut the door, and I bawled my eyes out for like 90 minutes. I kid you not, it was some of the ugliest crying I'd ever done in my entire life. I bawled my eyes out, and I was just begging God. I was literally so. For those of you who again may not know this, I'm trying to become a little more spiritual. I used to believe when I was younger, and I lost it. There's a lot of people do in their teens, but recently I've been reading the Bible, so I've been trying to read that and trying to gain some insight. I'd like to read the Quran at some point, an English translation of that. If any of my Muslim followers out there know of an English translation of the Quran I can pick up, please do send me a link. But just trying to get more spiritual, trying to get more religious, and I've been praying more. I've been praying more. I thought it was a good way to practice gratitude and kind of check in, if you will. And I got down on my knees on the fucking Premier, next to the Premier in bed, bawling my eyes out. I can laugh now, obviously, but bawling my eyes out and trying to put my hands together and saying, God, please just kill me. I don't want to live anymore. Please, I can't do this anymore. Please just kill me. I can't live anymore. It was a mess, absolute mess. But you never would have seen that, because I didn't share it. It's the first time I've talked about it on here. It was terrible. It lasted for 90 minutes, and the only reason it stopped is because I got a notification on my phone on the calendar app. Because I schedule everything. I'm really OCD. My friends take the piss a lot, but I schedule everything on my calendar. Even get shopping, I schedule that in my calendar. And it was like, you know, if you put the address basically on Apple, if you put the address in the calendar, sometimes it'll give you like a notification and tell you when you need to leave by public transport, or if you're walking to get there on time. So I got a notification saying like it will take X amount of minutes to get to. I went to this pizza place. I can't remember what it was called. I went to this pizza place, and it was like you need to like leave now to get there. I was like, oh shit! So I quickly like just like had to kind of compose myself, walking down the streets of Edinburgh with red eyes, clear that I've been in floods of tears. But what you guys saw was the pizza. Like, you guys saw me put a picture of the pizza on the Snapchat, but you didn't see the fucking awful, awful red eyes I'd had. Like, you know, just prior to this. And, yeah, I guess really I just wanted to share this as if to say, like, nowadays on YouTube, I try not to talk about it as much. The past 10 days, I had been talking about it quite a bit. Just because I wanted to share that this is still affecting me to this day, and the embarrassment is still there in the sense that it's not gone away. And there are days where I think I've got a good handle on this now. I've got a good handle on depression. I'm much better than I did before. You know, I haven't actually told the story of this, but some of you are aware that 10 years ago I tried to take my own life, and I've always said I will talk about it when like I feel like I've done enough in my life to be happy, and then I'll be able to discuss it openly and say, look how far I've come. Clearly that trip to Edinburgh showed you I've barely got anywhere, you know what I mean? Like, it's awful. But again, there was this part of me that wanted to share it online, or Instagram, or Snapchat, or even in a YouTube video, just say, look, this is what happened to me this weekend. It's fucking awful. But there was this embarrassment, this shame of like, it shouldn't still be happening. Like, after all these years, it shouldn't still be happening. But when I had these messages over the past few days from people saying like, God, I'm actually getting a bit emotional here, so but I'll carry on. When I had some messages from you guys, and it really just like, it literally like touches me when I have people say stuff. Joe Gomez breaks his toe. This one to make me cry as well. It's the fucking Euros game mode, and I'm still getting broken toes. But having people say like, you know, bro, like I'm going through this right now. Your videos have been a good help, nice distraction, or just so you know, like I used to go through these really tough times, but now I'm feeling much better. I just want to say thanks for being open. It touches me so much, and it means the world to me. And I think that like literally the past couple of days, I've had people on Instagram and on Twitter basically just reaching out and saying, just so you know, like I appreciate you, and it means the world to me. And I don't know whether this video will mean much to many, but if it means something to someone, then it's well worth doing. You know, recently the struggles have been real. I've been embarrassed by it. I've been ashamed by the fact that I've sunken back into this way of thinking where, honestly, like recently I've been going to bed at night just thinking, fuck, I don't want to do this anymore. Like seriously, like God, if you are up there, please don't let me wake up tomorrow. Like I'm tired. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm never gonna, you know, achieve the goals that I want. I'm never gonna hit the milestones I want. I'm never gonna get to where I want to get to. So can we just cut this short now? Like, do you know what I mean? I'm 32 anyway. Can we just cut this short? Like, can we just cut this short now? Like, I had enough now. Seriously. But I think that the shame and the guilt of not speaking about it has just made it worse, because instead of trying to be honest and open and say this is how I'm feeling, I've been neglecting the fact that it's relatable for so many people, which is unfortunate but true. And a good example is I went to have dinner with my friend last weekend. One of my best friends. We had dinner together last Saturday, and you know, we spent like 6 hours together. I only get to see them like 6 or 7 times a year now at most, because you know, we're adults, and as we all know, the older you get, the less time you can make for your friends. Just part of life. But it was a great night. Like, we had dinner together, we had so many laughs, we played a couple of games. It was fun. That was really fun. Then like towards the end, we got a little bit deep, and you know, I was about to share something that happened to me, and she shared practically the exact same thing, word for word, and I was like, fuck, I don't feel so alone anymore. I literally was going to tell her about, you know, what had happened when I went to Edinburgh, and like the breakdown I'd had, because we hadn't discussed it. And before I got onto that, she was telling me about the breakdown she had in a gym, like in a public gym she'd experienced. It's not my story to tell, so I'm not going to, but you know, the point is, she experienced a very similar thing. It's, you know, it's caused by different things, it affects it in different ways, but it's the same sort of challenge we were facing. And literally when she told me that, I was like, fuck, like literally like word for word, like there's parallels in these stories here. And suddenly I haven't said a word, but I feel so seen, I feel so heard, and it was amazing. It was literally, I hadn't said anything, but I felt so seen and so heard because someone else who I value so much had just told me what they'd been going through, and I realised, fuck, why am I ashamed of talking about this now? Why am I embarrassed about it? Why when I get into my videos do I always feel like I've got to be, hey guys, what's going on, how you doing? It's like, why am I embarrassed if I go even just a little bit less than that? Do you know what I mean? Like, there shouldn't be a shame, there shouldn't be an embarrassment, there shouldn't be a guilt. If you are helping someone else feel seen and somewhat heard by being open and honest and vulnerable, that is only a good thing for everyone. And I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me the space to talk about these things. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to discuss these things. And most importantly, thank you so much for reaching out and sharing stories that you've gone through as well, because there is nothing quite like feeling completely alone. And when someone is willing to put their first foot forward and say, I feel like this is how I've been affected, this is how so on, it opens the door and it gives people the freedom and the strength to do the exact same thing and put their foot forward and say the same thing. I have had so many messages recently and well, just throughout YouTube from people that have shared their own challenges, shared their own struggles, shared their own difficulties. And whether it's been temporary, whether it's lasted a long time, whatever the case may be, by being open about it, by being honest about it, by being vulnerable in that moment and sharing that vulnerability, the strength it gives others to do the same is unbelievable. And I want to say thank you for being so open with me, for being so receptive for what I've been going through. Whether it was 10 years ago where I was being a lot more open on a more regular basis, or just the past 10 days where I started to talk about it a little bit more openly in some of my commentaries again, as opposed to the previous 2 years where I was too ashamed to admit it and just say, occasionally this happens, without your receptiveness, is that a word? Without you being so receptive, but also sharing your own stories, I would not have the strength to do so, and to carry on, and to continue, and to still be here. We are so much stronger when we are together. We are so much more powerful and brave when we are open and vulnerable. How somewhat ironic is that? When we are more open and vulnerable, and we're willing to expose ourselves in some ways, let our own insecurities come out, we are stronger. How amazing is that? How truly amazing is that? It's incredible. And I just want to say thank you for giving me the space. And after all these years, yes, things are slightly different. Yes, like I said, sometimes I don't have the strength to open it like I used to. But when I do, to have you guys still here to listen, but also to share your own stories and make me feel so less alone, it's amazing. And I just want to say thank you. So this video is just me saying thank you. Today, there is no career mode video. I'm sorry, but we'll be back with a new series tomorrow. I just wanted to take the day just to give this to you and to give you my honestness, my openness, my vulnerabilities, and just say thank you. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing your stories, for being receptive, and for always sharing the love with me. Thank you so much. I love you so much, and I am so appreciative. That's it. Have a fantastic Sunday. Enjoy the football, and we'll be back tomorrow with a brand new career mode. Much love.